Hello guys! Sometimes you can decide to implement shared logic for your game. In this video, I'll show you how to create a project that contains GameModel with Google Protobuf message generation, a project for shared GameLogic, and set up these projects' compilation to be usable in Unity project and potential server logic. For the record, I'm not going to show how to implement the game logic and server logic. So let's get started. First of all, we need to decide how we organize our projects to work with them comfortable. I chose the variant where prefix is our project name and suffix is a part of our global project. First of all, we need to create a new solution for our game model. I just create for this project a new folder called tutorial game. Okay, so we choose this folder, and now the solution name will be tutorial game model. I selected .NET Core class library. Okay, create. Let's wait for creation, and here we are. We need to change some things. Let's go in properties of this project, select target framework .NET 4.7.2 for Unity compilation and C# 9. Okay, so we got some errors. We don't need this class because we will generate Protobuf model, so we don't need any code. Okay, let's go into project, edit C# project, and disable explicit usings. False. Okay, and we have no problems now. We can go to NuGet package manager and install Google Protobuf package. Okay, and it's installing what? grpc tools. We edit. Okay. Then we need to create a new folder called, for example, Protos. This model will contain Protobuf models, messages, Rust. I called test model.proto. Okay, and now we need to create a message. We need to define this proto file, we need to define syntax, which will be proto3. We need to define option namespace. I'll call it tutorial game model. Okay, and we need to define a message, test model, for example, and let's define a field int32, value is 1. Okay, now we need to set up our C# project to compile, to generate this proto file during compilation process. We go into project settings and add an item group where we're defining Protobuf file to be generated during compilation process. Test model.proto and grpc services is none. Okay, here we are. We got working model project. I change into release build because we don't need any debug information. Okay, let's build. And we see that we have two libraries here. Okay, now let's create new project for GameLogic. I'll call it tutorial game project. It's .NET Core plus a library project. New window. We need to edit some preferences like we did it for model project. We go into edit, tutorial game project, and disable implicit losings. Okay, and we need to disable C#9, C#10, sorry. We choose C#9 and add target framework .NET 4.7.2. Okay, we did it. We have this class. We can change namespace to wherever. We just remove this and make this class in namespace. Then we change this class name to GameLogic. Okay, and let's do one public method, update logic, and pass here double dt delta time and test model which we need to connect. Okay, we need to reference the DLL which we created in model project. Let's do it. We need to go into C# project file and add an item group where we reference tutorial project model. Yeah, include tutorial game model, and we need to reference these DLLs for different frameworks. So I do condition, which we are defining that we need to check target framework is net 6. Okay, and we close this reference, and we need to add a hint path. We need to go 2 folders down, two folders up, maybe, yeah. Reference to tutorial. I just copy and paste this folder name. Okay, and then binary release .NET 6.0 ref library name DLL. Okay, and we need to copy this reference and redefine target framework to net 4.7.2. Not here. Net 4.7.2 and there, net 4.7.2, and remove this folder and path. Okay, now we can reference tutorial game model. I'll show you. Test something, not tutorial game model. Tutorial game model. Oh, some problems here. Okay, I found an issue. I just missed here Protobuf, not Probuf. Okay, let's save, generate new DLLs. we see that build completes, and now we can reference here the test model, and now we can here, for example, increment value. Okay, for now we need to create a Unity project. I will create a project in Unity 2021.3, so let's create it. Alright, the project has been loaded, and now we need to create folders here. No, we need to move generated DLLs from GameLogic into this folder. Okay, now we need to go into project preferences and add some lines here. We need the property group for compilation settings of two configurations, debug and release. So I need to check configuration or next variable is platform is, oh no, I said is debug any CPU, close quotes. No, it's too early to close. And we need to check target framework. Equals to net 472. Yeah, we need to compile only net 472 libraries for Unity. Okay, we created property group. We need an output path, which will be path to our Unity project. Let's do it. How did I call it? Tutorial game Unity. Tutorial game Unity. Assets. Code. Libraries. Okay, and we need some definitions for our compilation process. I will not discuss them, just copy paste. If you want to know more, you can Google it. Now we need to create a property group for release configuration. Just copy paste and replace debug with release. Okay, now we can compile our logic project and compilation success. Okay, now we are loading our Unity project, waiting for compiling C# scripts for a few moments. Okay, here we are. We have our libraries here. We have our tutorial GameLogic and tutorial GameModel libraries, which we need to work. Okay, now let's create a C# script called, for example, GameRunner, to show that we really can use GameLogic library. Okay, let's wait. Open project, and here we have mono behavior script. Let's make start, and here we can create a model, new test model. Test model. Okay, and let's create it's a field, and for example What's that field? And let's change in update. We need GameLogic here, of course. And we created an instance of GameObject, and here we make GameLogic update logic time.delta time test model. So here I show that we can use these classes here, so we can define a GameLogic into different file and connect it into the server side and Unity side, and you can use these DLLs for server based on .NET 6 or 7. So thank you for watching this video, subscribe to my channel, bye bye.